phone numbers and addresses. I mean, I don't remember the phone numbers of even people I call all the time, because you just do some sort of speed thing. It's a good thing to remember where you live, how to get there, where you keep your things, and how to contact the people that you need to contact. And our brain is often filled up with all these things that we're remembering. And of course we have some of them right in our forefront of remembrance, and then we have other things that it's there when we can access them when we need it. Right? It's like some things running in memory and some things we plug in the next time we go. Okay, now where can I remember that? And I think it seems to me that nowadays we seem to have a lot more things that we have to remember. Somehow the machines in our life have made it that we have a lot more things to keep track of than we used to, or maybe just different systems for doing that. Of course, it's the main subject of our remembrance should be Krishna. That should be the main subject of our remembrance, because if our remembrance is completely filled up, we have a certain memory capacity. If our memory capacity is filled up with all these things, some of which obviously, I mean, it's not that if you're Krishna conscious you're going to forget where you live. But if our memory capacity and our anxiety, it's kind of anxiety, always keeping these things in memory, where they are, checking where they are, is filled up with this, then there's no room for Krishna. So we should also be remembering Krishna in the same way. Just like Prabhupada speaking about Bhagavad Gita 7.1, one of my favorite classes. I don't know how many times I've heard it, probably somewhere about 50 or 60 times that I've listened to this class of Srila Prabhupada, where he talks about attachment or a Shakti. He said all of us already have a Shakti. Maya Shakti Manaparta. Krishna is saying become attached, just like the Kemmerer boys. I think all of us in the Hare Krishna movement, we all want to go to Vrindavan. Don't we all want to go to Vrindavan? We all really want to go to Vrindavan. When I was in the Middle East, a devotee gave me a CD, and one of the songs in English was, I want to go to Vraja. That's our mood. I want to go there. I want to go there. I want to play with Krishna. I want to dance with Krishna. I want to feed Krishna. Somehow I want to be with Krishna. I want to go back to Godhead. I want to be in Krishna's association. I want to be in the spiritual. We all want this, right? And we all know that the key to achieving it is attachment. Maya Shaktamana. To be so attached to Krishna, because we all know that wherever we're attached to is where we go. Right? Basic Krishna consciousness 101. That we have, I'm just reading now the prayers of the personified Vedas. Prabhupada goes through extensively how our situation is the result of our own desires and our own choices. The body we have, the situation we have, everything. And it's what we're attached to. It's what captures our heart. And Prabhupada says in this lecture, it's in Sanan, India, says we're all attached to something. It's not something we don't need to be taught how to become attached. Even cold-hearted people are attached to their cold-heartedness, if that makes any sense. And to their anger, they're proud of it. I'm such a detached person. Isn't it? Or they're attached to something or something. And whatever we're attached to is the kind of thing that we commit to memory. The kind of thing that we take some effort to remember. Oh, we also, of course, probably none of us are in school anymore, which is why I didn't get this answer. But you remember things you're going to be tested on. Isn't it? I know one devotee who's studying to be a police officer, to take the entrance exam for being a police officer. I'm just studying. And I want to remember. So how do we remember something? I've been asked many, many times how to study Prabhupada's books and how to remember. So I would say the same techniques that we use for remembering all these other things, we can also use to remember Krishna. And Prabhupada would sometimes, by the way, translate smaranam not as remembering, but as memorizing. You know that? And sometimes say hearing, chanting, memorizing. Now, memorizing implies that you have to make some effort. You have to make some effort. Of course, if you're very, very attached to something, then you don't usually need to make an effort to remember it, or a very slight effort. Isn't it? If you're really, really, really attached to something, it's right there all the time. You're remembering it all the time. And unfortunately, we become attached instead of to Krishna. We become attached to Krishna's external energy, which in one sense is not different from Krishna, but we become attached in a way that causes our suffering. The analogy is given if you put food in the wrong hole. You know, if you put food instead of in your mouth, if you put it in your ear or your eyes, or you try to stick it up your nose, you know, you're still putting it in your body and you're still putting it in a hole in your body, but it's not one that will give you pleasure. So our attachment is still to Krishna. When we're attached to our money or our friendship or our clothes or our appointments or all the things we're memorizing, that's all Krishna. But we're going about it and we're becoming attached to Krishna through his material energy in an exploited way. And therefore that attachment doesn't give us what we're looking for. It doesn't satisfy us. But the same techniques that we use, just like the Goswamis are praying, just like the boy and girl are attached to each other, let me become attached to you in that way. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, just like I have so many attachment to things of this world, let me be attached to you in that same way. So how do we memorize things? Do you know techniques for memorizing things? We taught this a while ago as part of a seminar on teaching. But also it's valuable as far as teaching ourselves. So how do we memorize things? How do we keep things in our memory so we don't forget them? Repeating. So the key to any system of memorizing is repetition. Whatever system you use, it's repetition. And the repetition should be a lot in the beginning and then periodically. So if you want to learn verses, you repeat them a lot at first, and then you may start repeating them once a week and then once a month. And if you stop repeating them, the tendency is to forget them. So whatever system, repetition is there. What's another? It's right here in this verse. Singing. Now I would guess that everybody here could sing, or at least who brought up in an English-speaking country, could sing the alphabet song. A, B, C, D, right? You could all sing that? Now I'm sure it's been a while since you sang it, but you could still sing it. Or when I was a little girl in America, we'd start every school day singing a song about America. Oh, beautiful first spacious skies. I can sing all of them. Even though, I'll tell you, I don't regularly sing them. I'm not practicing them anymore. So how come I can remember them? Why can I remember those songs? Because they're songs. They're to music. I mean, I can remember songs I learned when I was 2. Can you remember songs you learned? How much is that doggy in the window? I can remember those songs. I know I heard about a devotee recently who almost drowned in the Ganga, and he remembered the commercial for Wrigley's chewing gum instead of the Maha Mantra. So that's one reason why advertisements are often in the form of songs. But there's a funny thing about remembering anything in the form of a song. And that is that anything we remember in the form of a song, it's one chunk. If you try to remember the alphabet song in the middle, it's a little difficult. Or at least you remember it in small chunks. Right? So if I just say what comes first, P or Q, you may have to go through a little chunk. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you've memorized, just like I know of devotees who memorize the Bhagavad Gita by singing through the whole Bhagavad Gita beginning to end. But then if I say to them, okay, what's chapter 7, text 12, they can't find it. Do you understand? They have to rewind all the way. It's kind of like a cassette tape rather than a CD. When you remember things in song, you have to kind of rewind to the beginning, or at least to a section, and listen to it again. So that's one of the downsides of memorizing with song. But anything we remember with song is indelible. You don't lose it. As soon as you put something in a song and learn that song, you'll know it. And you'll probably know it for the rest of your life. Now, not only songs here, but they did songs in the form of poetry. So poetry has many elements to it. But the 2 main elements of poetry are rhyme and meter, or rhythm.